So you competed for your dream title, and unfortunately, it didn't end the way you wanted it to. Maybe you were unplaced, or maybe you even placed. But either way, you didn't walk away with the crown, and now you're thinking about recompeting. Well, if this is you, stick around because I'm going to be sharing with you some things that I would do if I were considering recompeting for a title. Hey pageant fans, welcome back to another episode of Tea Stance on Pageantry. I'm your host, Teresa. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new here, thanks for joining us. Like I mentioned in my intro, we are going to be talking about some of the things that I would do if I were considering recompeting for a pageant. So one of the first things that I would do is that I would actually seek out feedback about my previous performance. So whether that's asking the pageant organizers themselves, or even if you can ask someone who was on the judging panel for some feedback, that will be really, really beneficial. I know that there are some pageants that don't really like you speaking to the judging panel, or they don't like to share the scores afterwards. And if that is the case, that's okay. You can still ask for information about how you did without necessarily getting the scores. So you can ask pageant organizers or even judges, tell me, what areas did you feel I did well in? What area did you feel I could use some improvement in? Sometimes you can even ask things like, how far away was I? What's the point difference between myself and the person who placed before me if you were, like, say, the first runner-up, right? So there are different ways that you can get information and get insight about your performance. Now, let's say that it's not possible for you to speak with the pageant organizers themselves or your judging panel. You might want to, if your pageant has been filmed and is on YouTube somewhere, or you just have a link to it somewhere, you can share that with a respected pageant coach or an experienced pageant judge and ask them to review your performance and provide you with some feedback on how they think you did and maybe what you could do to improve on your performance. So those would be some of the things that I would do right off the bat. That would be one of the first things, is seeking out feedback from a judge, a coach, or even a past contestant can be able to help you, a past title holder, somebody that is experienced in pageantry and is able to look beyond just like, oh, you did well, and able to actually provide you with some real insight into your performance. The next thing that I would do that I believe is absolutely crucial is I would find a pageant coach that can help you improve. So you want to take that insight, that feedback that you gain from step one, and take it to step two and say, look, pageant coach, I need some help in this area. Can you help me? Because I personally think it makes zero sense to go from last year to this year without any sort of reflection, without any sort of insight on your performance. And then you have to also take that insight and work on it, because it makes zero sense. If you're going to go through all the trouble of asking someone to review your performance, you should then be willing to work on it, and work on it with a coach, someone that can watch you and pinpoint and show you things, teach you things, help you to make those actual adjustments. And you would need a pageant coach for that. Someone other than yourself, realistically, who has experience in your system that can guide you, because that's going to make all the difference. Because sometimes we think that, we're doing amazing, and we can't really see that, oh, your arm is swinging too much, or do you know this pose doesn't necessarily complement your body shape, things like that. You want to get someone that has that experience, and a pageant coach is someone that can definitely help guide you and help you make those adjustments that will then make your performance even stronger when you decide to recompete. The third thing that I would think about doing before entering again is to curate your wardrobe. Just make sure that you have a few items that you're going to need to compete in the pageant. You don't want to enter and then have to be scrambling for wardrobe. Put together your wardrobe, put together your accessories, your shoes, all your undergarments, everything that you may possibly need. And you should know what you would need because you've already competed. And that's one of the beauties of competing again is that you can anticipate what's coming next. And speaking of anticipation, one of the things that you definitely want to do is to elevate your mindset. Thinking about recompeting and actually going through with it takes a lot of resilience and perseverance. So you want to make sure that your why, like your why are you doing this, that is airtight. Like you want to know, what is your purpose? What impact are you going to have? Because this is what is going to actually help you to make the decision to recompete and help you to stay focused and feel energized and help you to step into the competition stronger than before. Something that you should also consider doing is networking with past contestants and even past title holders who have already recompeted and, elevated their performance, because you can learn a lot from them. You can learn what worked, what didn't work for them. And it's really good to find that kindred spirit, that person who knows what you're going through or who know what you're about to step into, and they can really provide some insight that could be super beneficial to your mindset, your actions, and everything that you're going to do as you journey to recompete for your title. And the last thing that you want to consider is timing. Timing is everything in pageantry. Honestly, it really is. And sometimes you have to ask yourself, is right now really the right time for me? Particularly if you're on the younger side of the spectrum, just because when you're on the younger side, you have so much years left to go, especially if you're thinking about doing a pageant like Miss Universe, where there is no age limit. But if you are on the younger side, even with pageants that do have that age limit, you want to definitely take the time to ask yourself, is right now the perfect time? Am I ready to do this again? Is there something that I'm missing that might take me a little while to learn or to grow as a person? Sometimes I feel like when we see the 18 and 19-year-olds, I almost feel like they're too young sometimes, maturity-wise. They haven't had a lot of life experience, so they don't really know how to navigate that pageant world from a mental standpoint. And so sometimes just waiting for that right moment can be super beneficial. So I just want to close by saying that pageantry is really about growth. It's about perseverance. And honestly, it does take a lot to compete in a pageant, and even more so to recompete. But it can be so beneficial and so empowering to you if you choose to recompete. And what you have to remember is that not every title holder has won on their first try. Statistically speaking, that's just not even possible, And I mean, if everybody gave up after attempting something one time and being unsuccessful, we wouldn't have nearly the world that we have today. Most things take more than one try. And just like other things, pageantry can take more than one try to be successful at it. I mean, Pia Wurtzbach. These are women who kept going back and kept entering different pageants and kept improving their skills, So I just want to encourage you out there, if you are thinking about recompeting and you're on the fence, go for it. Because as long as you coming from a place where you're trying to improve and you actively work towards improving your pageant skills, then it will be worth it. Because even if you don't win the title, but you see an improvement in your performance, that's brilliant, right? Because pageantry is about growth and perseverance. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode and that it inspires you to recompete if you are thinking about it, and that you will actually take on board some, if not all, of these steps that I'm sharing with you today. And comment down below, are you thinking about recompeting for a pageant? And if so, what pageant are you thinking about recompeting for? I can't wait to hear from you guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share the video with the pageant girl in your life. And until next time, have a great week.